Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
I'm Lisa.
Good morning. Let me see who's here today. Hey, Ed, see you up there. Good morning. Monique, good morning.
Morning. Hello.
Okay, and Alethea, how are you?
Yes, good morning. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful. Thanks for asking. Hi, Diana.
Hi.
Morning. Marlene, good to see you again today. And Peggy, how are you today?
Guess I need to unmute. Good morning. You doing?
Yes, it's part of what we're doing is just checking to make sure everybody can get unmuted and I can hear you. So great, I do hear you. Pamela, good morning. And Phyllis, can you hear us? Okay, so great. Lynn, I see you coming in. Good morning. Okay, and Dolores, how are you today?
I'm good, and you?
Oh, I'm doing great, thank you. Nice sunny day here in North Carolina.
Uh-oh.
I'm not going to complain. Okay, Patricia, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, there you are. Okay, great. All right, just checking out, make sure I can hear everybody. So when you have questions, I can answer your questions. So, Jennifer, how about you this morning? You there? Okay. And there's Bill. Morning, Bill.
Good morning.
You're under Dolores Friday?
Let's see, and Pam Penny, see you're here.
Yeah, hello.
Good morning, welcome back.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see. I think I have, let's see. Phyllis, I don't think I ever heard from you. Are you there? I think I've heard from everyone else. We usually take the first 4 to 5 minutes to give people a chance to come in and make sure your technology is working. For anybody that's not showing their picture, it's right there beside your mute and unmute. It's start and stop video. So if you'd like to start your video, we'd love to see you this morning, but it's not mandatory. I do want to make sure I can hear everyone and everyone can hear me. We're going to go ahead and get started with some of the housekeeping and setup task and give everybody another minute or two. We'll probably have a few more people joining us, but I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And first, I want to make sure that everybody can see my iPhone over here on the right side of the screen. If anyone can't see that because pictures are covering it up, let me know. I can help you move those pictures around. I'm going to move your pictures over to my other monitor. That way I can see you over here. And all right, that is good. And I'm going to go ahead and mute everyone. That's why I was making sure that everybody can unmute. So when you have a question or comment, you'll need to just unmute yourself. And no reason to raise your hand or anything, just unmute and ask your question. I'm also going to open the chat and move this over here where I can see it as well. So if anyone is having trouble with your microphone, You can reach me in the chat. But if, Joe from our TA team is also here helping me this morning. So he's going to be monitoring the chat as well. But if your microphone is working, please do just go ahead and ask your questions out loud. That way everyone else can hear your question and I'll hear your question as well. All right. Okay, I think we are set up and ready to go. Let's get started. This is iPhone Basics. All you need to know. This is the introductory class for iPhone. We do have several other iPhone classes I'll mention during the course as well, but this is the starting point. My name is Wade Yarbrough, and I'll be the guide for the class today. I want to welcome everybody to the class. A little bit about me. I'm from a small town in West Tennessee called Mason, Tennessee. It's just outside of Memphis. I have a degree in psychology and have taught psychology primarily early in my career and late in my career. During the most of my working career, I was designing, installing, and training users on hospital information systems. So I've done a lot of adult training in my career, but I'm loving teaching with Get Set Up primarily because I'm teaching people that are interested in the class they're taking, not in the class because their employer made them attend the class, which makes a big difference. And it's what we try to do at Get Set Up, is to create an environment where you can take classes that you're interested in, along with other people that are interested in the same class. You can interact with each other. You can interact with the guide as well. So there may be times when someone asks a question that I don't know the answer to, but if you do, go ahead and answer the question. That way we can all learn together and I get to learn along with you. I learn something almost every class. Okay. The session is being recorded and any participant can request a copy of that recording if you want to watch it again in case you missed something. To do that, all you need to do is send an email to help@getsetup.io. Be sure to include the name of the class and the date you attended it because only attendees can get a copy of the recording. I'm going to put that email address in the chat as well. So if you don't have that email address in your email contacts, go ahead and copy that and put it in your email contacts. After the class, when we're going over the closing slides, I'll talk about some other ways you're probably going to want to use that email address as well. We are live streaming the class this morning, and I want to welcome anyone that's joining us via live stream. Thanks for joining the class. Hope you enjoy it as well. But I do want to emphasize that the only way to get what I call the full Get Set Up experience is to go to our website and register for the class. That way you can interact with the other learners and ask questions of the guide. And finally, Get Set Up is not paid to promote any products or vendors. We are purely trainers. So let's talk about the agenda for today. By the end of this class, you should know how to find information about your phone and about your phone's operating system. Know several ways to silence your phone's ringer. That's always a problem. Know how to navigate and use the various screens. Some of them you've seen, some of them you may not have found. Be able to manage apps and widgets. I'm sure you know about apps. You may not know about widgets, but you will. And how to use the app library. A lot to cover, so let's get started. First off, how to find out about your phone. And we're going to be going in and out of settings a lot today. So this is what the settings icon looks like. So you do need to find that on your phone. It's probably not down here where mine is. I'm going to shrink the screen down a little bit and move my phone over so it's a little closer to the center so you can see it a little easier. So you need to find this. That's your settings app. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. And if it doesn't come to the top, you can scroll all the way up to the top. So we're all at the same starting point. And what we're going to do is go down to general. And it's this first thing in this third section down here. Has the same icon as the settings app. So we're going to click general. And you'll come to this screen. I'm going to stop and make sure, is anybody not on this screen? Give everybody a minute to get here. If you're having trouble, just unmute and tell me where you are.
Wade, I'm having trouble getting rid of the pictures, our pictures off of your phone.
Okay, yes. Up in the upper right, there should be a view, a little icon you can click that says view. Click that and choose gallery. It may say side-by-side gallery or gallery view.
Okay, side by side mode. Okay, there we go. Wait, yep, there we go. Perfect.
All right, good deal.
Thank
All right.
you.
Okay. All right. So if everyone is here, let's click about, the very first option. This gives you the name of your phone. You can click into there and change that name if you want to. I changed mine to be Wade's iPhone. If you want a name that's more meaningful. This is the software version you're currently on. Is anyone on anything less than 14.0, 13 dot something, 12 dot something? Okay, good. Because 14 is, there's a lot of the things we're going to show you that came with 14. So if you're on a version older than 14, you won't see those things. Next is your model name. A lot of the functionality differs depending on what model you're on. So be sure to take a note of that. Most cases, 8 seems to be the breakpoint. I'm on an 8. So things 8 and older tend to work the same way. Phones that are newer than an 8 tend to work a different way. So we'll talk about those. And then it gets more specific. It gets to the specific model of the Model 8 that you've got, and even down to your specific serial number. So this is, all good information to know about your phone. These two are important for the class today because I'll refer to software version 14 and what which model of iPhone you're using. We're going to hit General and go back one level, back to the screen we were just on, and click Software Update. And a new release came out. So iOS 14.5 has now come out. On the prior screen, it said that I was on 14.4. So you may see a screen like this. If you're current, it'll just say no updates available. In this case, this is a new version. I can download and install that now. Don't do that. Sometimes these take a while and it turns your phone off as part of the install, especially depending on how far back you are. If you scroll down right below there, it has automatic updates. We're going to click that. And you can tell Apple to automatically install new software updates as they come out. That's where mine is set. So I don't have to worry about manually installing that update. Apple will do that automatically. They don't always do it immediately. Sometimes it even sits for a day or two before it installs, but it will eventually install. If I do want to go ahead and install it, I would just click here. And if it's still sitting there tonight when I go to bed, I'll probably manually install it, but you don't have to. Now, if you'd rather manually install them yourself, turn these off, but then you do have to remember to go and manually install them. So I recommend turning them on, but that's your choice. Questions about either of those two options before we move on? All right, if not, and I have that in there in case somebody had an update, but since mine had that, I don't need that slide. We're going to talk about a couple of physical features of the phone, not all of them, because I'm assuming you know how to turn your phone on and use the volume. There's one control you may not have seen, or you may have seen it and didn't know what it was, and that's in this upper left-hand corner of the phone as you're looking at it. It's a little, it's called a all-phone button. I would call it a slider. You flip it up and down, and that turns the ringer on and off. So if you're going into a meeting, going into a class, and you want to make sure your phone doesn't go off, you can flip that little switch and it'll turn the ringer off. It'll also turn off that ding that you get when you get a notification, so you're not disturbed during the meeting. After the meeting, you can turn it back off. I think there's a better way to control the ringer, and I'm going to show you that. But I did want to point this out because it's happened to me twice already, that accidentally somehow that button has gotten flipped. So all of a sudden I'm missing calls because my phone's not ringing. So if that ever happens to you, calls come in and it doesn't ring, check this button, this switch. It may have gotten bumped accidentally in your purse or in your pocket. Now, if your phone does start to ring, a little tip and trick, touch either of the volume buttons up or down. It'll stop the ringing immediately. So that way you can stop the ringing. It will still send the person to voicemail. It'll ring and then it'll go to voicemail, just as if you had the ringer on and were ignoring them. So they can leave you a voicemail, but it stops the ringing. So
I have a
that's
question.
handy trick. Yes.
On my phone, where you were pointing, there's like, it looks like I guess a silver color thing. I mean, I have the on and off, or two on, whatever they are. There's two plastic buttons, and then a
That's your
metal.
volume. And above the volume buttons is this switch, this on-off switch.
It
It's
doesn't
usually
look like-
recessed inside the phone.
Right. I wouldn't know how to. It doesn't look like. How would I turn it on and move it?
Where you have to stick your finger in there and use your fingernail to flip it up and down.
Oh,
It's intentionally hard to get to so it doesn't accidentally get flipped, but it still can accidentally get flipped.
okay. So I can't do it, but you said that's to make the sound go off.
Yes, that's to turn the volume. I'll show you a better way to do it
Oh,
instead of
okay.
using that switch
you.
because it is hard to use, but it does accidentally get bumped. So in case it stops working, check that. All right. So let's go to where I think is the better way to control the volume, your ringer volume. And that's something called Do Not Disturb. And that's a setting. So we're going to go back into settings again, just like we did before. So I'm going to hit settings and I'll start at the top just so everybody's at the same place and go down just a little ways to Do Not Disturb. It's in the second group of options, has the quarter moon with the blue background. There's a lot of options under Do Not Disturb. We're not going to cover all of these today. I'm going to cover the ones that you're going to use the most. And the first is just this switch at the top that turns it on and off. Mine is turned on, which means Do Not Disturb is active. So I won't get calls or dings because I'm teaching a class. I turn this on whenever I start a class. After class, I can just touch and turn it off. I'll show you an easier way to turn it on and off in a few minutes, but this is one way to come into settings and turn it on and off. Another thing I like about Do Not Disturb is you can schedule it. You can see mine is scheduled to come on at 10 o'clock at night, stay on till 7 o'clock in the morning. That way I can leave my phone charging on the bedside table and I don't get calls in the middle of the night from telemarketers. You can change these times, obviously. And if for whatever reason you've got you're expecting a call in the middle of the night, you can just turn that off so it's not scheduled for that night and then turn it back on the next night and it's back turned on. I'm going to skip down to two other settings. Allow calls from, mine is set to no one, but if you click on that, you could say, let my favorites come through even if I have Do Not Disturb turned on. If you only have a few favorites and they don't take advantage of it, you can use that. You can also turn on the Do Not Disturb bypass at the individual contact level. We talk about that in a later class. So I leave mine at no one, but I do have a couple of contacts that can bypass it. And then repeated calls is another option. You can turn this on or not. I have it turned on. So what happens here is that if a second call comes through from the same number within 3 minutes, the second call will come through. So if somebody calls you and it goes to voicemail and then they call you back a minute later, they think it's an emergency. You may not agree when the call comes through, but I let those calls come through. And in fact, you can use this and let your friends know, hey, if you really need me and I don't answer the phone, it may be that I've got Do Not Disturb turned on. Go ahead and call me again and that second call will come through. So you can let people know about this trick and they can bypass it by just calling you again. If you don't want people to be able to do that, turn it off and it disables that repeated call function. Okay. Questions about Do Not Disturb? Again, I think it's much handier than the using the switch.
Wade, I'm curious, in our notes from this class, is what you are telling us, is that going to be in the notes or should we be taking notes?
It will not, you will not get the slides themselves. So you may want to take some notes.
Okay.
There will be links to a website that covers basic information about your phone. And most of this will be in that website. And of course you can get a copy of the recording as well. If you missed something and you want to just get that
Okay.
recording and fast forward to that section, you can always do that as well.
All right, thank
Sure. All right, let's move on. So I'm going to go back to the main screen. Let's talk about the screen for a minute. Ignore everything up here. This is a tool that I use so you can see my phone on my computer screen. So this Let's View is not part of my phone. This is really the first line of your phone. It's called the status bar. And that's what it has. It has the status of various things like your cell coverage. I use Verizon Wireless, and you can see how many bars you've got to see how strong your cell coverage is. Here's your Wi-Fi indicator that tells you if your Wi-Fi is turned on. It's got the time if your eyes are good enough to see that. And then of course your battery remaining. So just a number of status indicators here. It also has some little icons here. That little icon, if you remember, that's the do not disturb icon, this quarter moon. That tells me do not disturb is turned on. I can look at my phone at any time and see, do I have do not disturb turned on or not? This tells me I have an alarm set. That's a little alarm clock. So there's also some little icons here that tell you things that are set. This is the home screen, and that is plural home screens. There's more than one. You've got multiple home screens. We're going to talk a lot more about what's on the screens later. There's a page indicator down here. A little hard to see, but there's 4 little white dots here. And that tells me which of the home screens I'm on. And I can actually change my home screens by touching those dots down there. So you can see now it's showing me that I'm on the 3rd of my 4 home screens. So sometimes when you're flipping screens, if you're just touching and swiping, which is the other way to move through your screens, if you touch an app for too long, it'll launch that app. So some people like to swipe through the screens down here instead. And this is called the dock. It's called a dock because you can dock apps down here so that as you move from screen to screen, they don't change. These should be the 4 that you use the most. I'll show you how to take things off of here and put things on here. Mine probably looks different than yours. The default is your phone, your browser, but it uses Safari. I'm using Chrome. Your texting, and then I've put my settings here, but I'll show you how to change those. But those are the main parts of the screen that you can see. And again, I'm going to go through this material, but if you have questions, just unmute and ask away. There's a couple of screens that you don't see and may not even know they exist. One is called the notification screen. And if you put your finger up here in the top left and pull down, if you watch my screen, you can see it. It's pulling down my notification screen. You actually see this as well when you unlock your screen. So you've seen this before. And it shows you notifications that you've gotten. For instance, I got a phone call while I was on Do Not Disturb 3 minutes ago. If you didn't hear that phone ring, shows Do Not Disturb is working, but it tells me I did get a call. So I can go back and check on that whenever I'm ready to look at it. I've had a lot of notifications come through. So if you need to deal with any of these, you can deal with them. A lot of them are just letting you know things like, weather. There's an X right here. So if you've looked at your notifications and you've dealt with all of them you need to deal with, you can touch that X. It will change to the word clear. Now if I hit clear, it deletes all those old notifications. So it just shows me the last few that I've had. Oh, and by the way, it also tells me Do Not Disturb is turned on. So again, it's reminding me. You don't get those reminders if you use the switch on your phone. If you use Do Not Disturb, I can tell from here it's turned on, and it's always in my notifications that it's turned on, so I don't forget to turn it back off after class. When I'm finished, I can just put my finger on the screen and swipe up. As you look at my screen, you can see, and swipe it off the top of the screen. Okay, that's notifications. Good thing to do if you've had your phone turned off for a while, or your phone's been in the other room on the charger maybe, and you come back and pick it up. Just swipe down to see if anything happened while you were gone that you need to deal with, if you missed a phone call or anything. The other thing is the control center. And this is where you need to know what phone you've got. If you're on an 8 or older, you swipe up from the bottom. If you're newer than an 8, you pull down from the top right up here. Mine is an 8, so I'm going to pull it from the bottom. So if you watch my screen, you can see it coming up. If you're on a newer one, same thing, but you'll pull down from the top right. And that's the control center. Control center is really handy. I love the control center because it gives you access to things that normally you'd have to go into settings or flip around through your screen and find an app. You can get to them much quicker. Things like putting your phone in airplane mode. We are starting to fly on airplanes again. So if I get on the plane, I can just swipe this up and touch the airplane to put it in airplane mode. When we land, I touch it again and turn it back off.
I'm not there. I haven't found that yet.
You haven't been able to get this screen to come up?
Right.
What model phone do you have? Oops.
14 something.
You'd pull down from the upper right.
All right. Ah, sorry. Thank you.
Okay, and hang on a second. I just lost my phone here, so I'm going to have to reconnect my phone to my computer. Not sure what happened there, but give me just a...
Probably my fault. Sorry.
Oh, no, they did that already. I don't know what. Okay. Hang on, it's being ornery. Sometimes it does this. All right, it's being very ornery. All right, one more try. All right, I think it's going to connect this time. Yep, there it is. Okay. All right, we're back. All right, so I'm going to pull back up again from the bottom and have my control center. Here's my Do Not Disturb. Again, I told you there's an easier way to turn on Do Not Disturb than going into settings and clicking Do Not Disturb and clicking the button. Here I can just swipe up and click here. It tells me right here what it's done. So if you watch right here, when I touch it again, it's going to say Do Not Disturb is on. So sometimes I can't remember which is which, if this the white background is on or the background is on. So if you click it, it'll tell you here. And of course, you have those other two reminders as well. You can change the brightness. So a lot of different things here you can use. The bottom part has what I call your apps or tools that you use most frequently. For mine, and yours is going to look different probably. I've got a flashlight, a calculator, a timer, magnifying glass, a voice recorder, my camera, a notepad, and a stopwatch. So it used to be, I used calculator a lot. When I needed a calculator, I would start flipping through my all my apps trying to find my calculator. Now I just swipe up and touch my calculator, and there it is. Much faster, much easier. Especially once you get that swipe action. It's a little tricky to do the swiping up from the bottom or down from the top. Once you've done it a few times, you get the hang of it. And you can activate any of these. Now you can pick which 8 tools you want to put down here. I will show you how to do that. We're going back into settings. We're going to go to settings. and then scroll down here right below general where we were at the top of the class to control center. If you touch control center, here's the 8 that I'm using. If I want to swap something out, because really timer and stopwatch do about the same thing, so maybe I don't want the stopwatch, I just touch that little red circle. It opened up a remove button. I can click that. It's now removed it. It hasn't deleted it. It's down here on a stopwatch. These are all the things that you can put on that list. There are a lot of them. In the email that comes out after class, I'm going to include a link to a website that tells you what each one of these is. So you can figure out which ones you want to include. But maybe if I want to put up the wallet instead of the stopwatch, I can just click the plus here. It's now moved it up to the top. So that's how you move things back and forth from the top to the bottom. These are the ones you'll see on your screen. So if I go back and swipe up, now I've got the wallet over here. Questions about the control center? I just noticed something in the chat. Someone has a 6S and doesn't see do not disturb function. That is a newer function, and I think it does. I think you do have to be on a 7 or newer to see the do not disturb. So if you were in these settings and did not see do not disturb, and you're on 14, then I think it's a feature of the phone. So there are some of the features that are both operating system and phone version restricted. Okay. All right. So let's keep going if there's no questions about the control center. All right, apps and widgets. Best part of the class. All right, so apps you know about. These are all the apps. I'm going to move over here to a screen that has a little more space on it. I said you can rearrange apps and you can move apps in and out of the dock. To do that, all you have to do is just put your finger on the screen anywhere that's not on an app. Hold it for about 2 seconds, and the apps will start jiggling, and you'll see a minus sign. If anybody sees something, a plus sign or an X instead of a minus sign, you're not on iOS 14. If you're seeing a minus sign, you're good. It's a minus sign because if I want to get rid of that app, I can touch the minus sign here and get rid and delete it. But I don't want to get rid of it. I want to just move things around. So I can just put my finger on any app, and I'm going to click on this one that has a little copper bowl on it, and I can drag it. Oops, I waited too long. I can drag it down to a different location. If I want to move it to another page, I can just take it and push it over to a different page and drop it. I'm going to take it back where it was. Put it on this page. That's a little tricky sometimes because you have to push it off the page, and if your finger is in the wrong spot, sometimes it's hard to get it off. So this is when you have to practice a little bit. I also said you can change what's in your dock. It works the same way. If I want to take the settings out and put the copper bowl down there, Insight Timer is what it's called, I can do that. It's now Insight Timers down here. I'm going to put it back like I had it, etc. Questions about moving apps around? What a lot of people do is move the ones they use the most frequently to the home screen. And when I was playing with it, one of mine got moved over. This one should be on the home screen. So I'm going to put it back where it belongs. Okay, so I moved it back over to the home screen. The question? Did Monique, you have a question?
Yes. Well, let's
Oh, nope. You're muted. Click your mute the other way.
okay, well,
All right, you're good. Now I can hear
okay.
you.
I have an iPhone 6 and it does not say, the plus minus. It just like remove app or something and something else. Let's see.
So it never started
Let's try.
jiggling.
No, it says remove, share, edit home screen or new document, whatever. So I don't have the, I don't know, wait a second. Or maybe I did not,
Touch in an empty spot. I think you're touching an app.
an empty spot, but I mean, I have so
You like
much
see where my
stuff.
cursor's pointing? A place.
Oh, I see. Okay, I see. Okay, sorry. I mean,
That's okay. That's why we have a class. All right.
I know, I need it. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Great. So we're going to talk about widgets next. And I'll show you my favorite widget, which is this one. This is the Weather Channel widget. I'm a weather junkie. This is, here's the Weather Channel app. And normally, if I wanted to get information about the weather, I would open this app. What the widget does is widgets take information that you would see within the app and put it on the screen for you. So I can now see without touching anything what the current temperature is, what the conditions are, what the conditions are going to be for the next 3 hours, what the conditions are going to be for the next 3 days, and I can see the radar. Just about anything I want to know about current state of weather, I can see just by flipping from the home screen to my widget. Without this widget, I would have to click on the Weather Channel down here. Oops. Come back. And see the problem. Wait for it to open, and it opens very slow. And now I've got what's going to happen today. But if I want to see what's going to happen for other days, I've got to come down here and tap daily. And if I want to see the radar, I've got to touch radar. Have to do a lot of things to get the same information I can get just by glancing at the widget. So all widgets are tied to an app. All apps don't have a widget, at least not yet. But if you don't have the app, you can't get the widget. I'll show you some other examples. But any questions about this one? You kind of see what's going on?
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
Right, so I get the weather app, and then how would I get the widget?
Okay, I'll show you that. I'm going to explain what they are, and then I'll show you how to get one. This is a sales job. I'm going to convince you they're a good thing, and then I'll show you how to get them. Here's a couple more. This is a news app, so I can check to see what's the top story right now. This changes during the course of the day, so every time I come by here, I can look and see what's the top story right now. This is the stock market report. So again, I can just, as I'm flipping through, I can glance up and see what's going on with the stock market. Normally, I would have to open the stocks app to see this information. So widgets let me see information without opening the app. So let me show you how to get a widget. So we're going to do the same thing we did to move apps around. I'm going to touch an empty spot until it starts jiggling. Up at the top of your screen, there'll be a plus sign. Depending on what model phone you've got, that plus may be on the right, it may be in the left, but it'll be up in this top section somewhere. Touch the plus sign. And that opens your widget search. And you can just scroll through them. So if you want to see the widgets available. And again, they're somewhat limited. These just came with iOS 14. That's the first time Apple supported widgets. These are all applications from third parties. So they had to write the software to do a widget. So there's new ones popping up pretty much every time I come to check, but there's still lots of apps. Here's the Weather Channel one. Lots of apps that don't have a widget yet. But if I would install a widget, I've never looked at this one, but let's just touch Insight Timer. That's the copper ball we were playing with before. the next thing you do is pick what size widget you want. So, and I call them small, medium, and large. So this is like the Weather Channel one that I have. It's a very large one. This one is small and wide, and this one is small and rectangular. I'm going to pick this one since I don't have one of those on my screen right now, and just say add the widget. And so there it is. You can kind of see this is small, this is medium, and then here's large. What this is, it's a meditation app. So I can touch here and it'll play that meditation for me without having to open the app, Insight Timer. Now, if I decide I don't like that widget, all I have to do is touch it and the menu opens up and there's an option to remove the widget. I'll touch that and it gives me a confirmation that I want to remove the Insight Timer widget, and it lets me know removing this widget will not delete any apps or data. So you're not deleting the app, you're just removing the widget. So the widget's gone. So that's how you can delete one if you decide you don't want to keep it.
I have a question.
Yes, Diana?
Can a widget be moved to a different screen like an app?
Yes, good question. It certainly can. So if I want to take this one and put it over here, push it off the edge like before, and now I've separated those so each one is on its own,
Thank you.
own page. I'm going to bring it back because there's something else I'm going to show you. One thing, so hopefully I'm convincing you widgets are very handy things to have. One of the problems, though, you can tell they take up a lot of space. Especially if you go with the large size. It's pretty much one per page if you're going with the big ones. So they do take up a lot of space. What you can do is called stacking widgets. If you stack a widget, it puts one widget on top of the other one. So if you watch my screen, I actually already have two widgets stacked in here. I've got, this is CNN, or this is actually Apple News. If I put my finger on there and swipe down, it goes to NBC News. So I've got two widgets stacked on top of each other. Think about a deck of cards. So you're stacking widgets in the same space on your screen, conserves space. It's probably a good idea to stack things together that are similar in function. So actually I could take this one because stock market and news kind of go together. I would typically be looking at those at the same time. So what I'm going to do is to make them jiggle again. I'm just going to take the stock widget, drag it down and drop it on top of the news ones. And now all three of those are in the same spot. And I can just swipe through to get to the one that I want. The only restriction is they've got to be the same size. You can't stack a little one in with two medium size. You can only stack the same size. Now, maybe I changed my mind and I decide I don't want my stocks in there with those other two. Again, just touch for a second, open up the menu. I can edit the stack. And so if I want to take stocks out, I can just put my finger here and slide it to the left, open up that delete button, touch delete. It's taking that out of my stack. I can put it back on my screen again. Let's do that just to kind of show you again how to install a widget. So I'm going to get them jiggling again. Click the plus sign. Go find my stocks again. There it is right there. Touch it. It takes me to the screen where I pick the size. It actually has 4 sizes. Some of them have more than 3. So I got the small, what I've been calling the medium. This is, I guess, the large, and this is an extra large. I don't know what to call that. But I like this one. So you just get it so the one you want is the one you're seeing on the screen, and then hit add widget, and it's going to add that size. And there it is. back like I had it before. Questions about widgets? Okay. Let's talk about the app libraries, the last major thing I wanted to talk about, but it's another big addition with iOS 14. So if you look at the little indicator, it says I'm on the last of my, the most right, one of my home screens. But if I swipe one more time, put my finger on there and swipe right to left, it takes me to the app library, which is not one of the home screens. It's a separate screen. So it doesn't show up as one of the dots. And make that stop jiggling. Every app that you have on your phone is in the app library. Several ways to get to the apps in your app library. The default here is by folder. So Google puts apps, or iPhone puts apps in the different folders. At this point, Apple decides what apps go in which folder, so you can't change it. If you want to run one of the apps that's in a folder, if it's one of these big ones, you can just touch it and it will run that app. I'll touch Google Calendar and it opens my Google Calendar. If I wanted one of these that's down here, I have to touch on this part of the screen. And what it's going to do is open the entire folder. And you can see there's a lot of stuff in this folder. I love apps. I have way too many apps. And then I can touch any one of the apps on here and it will open that app. Touch the home screen again, tab again, and it goes back to my folders. So that's one way to find your apps by folder. Another way, which I find the folders hard to use. I don't really use the folders very much. If I just touch the search up here, picking up a little bit of an echo, so let me mute everybody again. I'm going to touch right here. And it takes me to an alphabetical list of apps. And I've also got the alphabet over here. So if I'm looking to find WhatsApp, I could just touch the W over here and it'll take me to the W's and there's WhatsApp. So to me, that's a much faster way to find something. Now, the other thing that's handy about this view is that there are cases where I know what the app looks like. I know what the little icon looks like. I don't know what the name of it is. So sometimes I have to do this. I just kind of scroll through because I'm looking for something and I don't know what it is. And like here, the club is at St. James. You know, I knew it was St. James, but I would have looking under the S for St. James. It would be under T for the clubs. But I knew it had this little icon, so I could scroll through until I found the right icon and then touch it to execute it. Run that app. Everybody with me so far? Okay. Two other ways to use this. As you would probably guess, since this is a search window, I can just click here and type. If I'm looking for WhatsApp, I can type WH. And there it is. And I can just click it from here. So that's probably the fastest way to find something instead of scrolling through a list of folders or scrolling through an alphabetical list if you've got as many apps as I do. So you can just search for it. And it doesn't have to be by the first letters. So if I was looking for that St. James, I could start typing James and it would find it. So it's searching for those letters anywhere in the name. All right, let me show you my favorite one. I can do that search from anywhere. I don't have to be at the app library. I can be on my home screen. And this is what I do personally. If I'm looking for an app and it's not on my home screen, I never leave the home screen. If I'm looking for St. James, what I do is I put my finger on the screen anywhere, not on an app, and just slide down. I'm going to do that. It takes me to what's called Siri Suggestions, and Siri suggests the apps that I've used most frequently and the most often. Most of the times it's in here, but if it's not, I've got my search window up here, so I can start typing James again. There's 2 letters, it's found it, and I can execute that app from here. So you really never need to leave your home screen to find and run an app.
Can you go over that again?
Sure. Okay. So I'm looking for an app. Let me find. I'm looking for Tornado. So I don't see Tornado on this screen. So instead of flipping around looking for it, I'm just going to put my finger on the screen and slide down. You can see that it starts to blur when I put my finger on there and slide it down. And it brings up a search window. And again, these are ones you use a lot and you've used frequently. So more often than not, what I'm looking for is in this list. But if it's not, I'm looking for Tornado. I can start typing Tornado. 2 letters usually is all you need to put in. It's found the app. It's right there. I just touched that app. And now I've run the Tornado app. Love that tip and trick. All right, we're almost out of time. One more thing I want to tell you and show you is that since everything is in the app library and I can get to the app library from any screen and search it, I don't need to have these apps on my screen. And I've taken most of them off of mine. The ones that I've still got on here are primarily the ones that I teach in class. So I want to have them in here so I can teach it in class. But let's say I want to get rid of Insight Timer, take it off my home screen. I can just touch and hold it until the menu pops up. And I can say, remove the app. Don't be afraid, it's not deleting the app. Now it gives me the option. Do I want to delete the app or do I want to just take it off my home screen and leave it in the app library? I can say remove from the home screen. It's now gone from my screen. It's still in the app library. I can go over to the app library and find it, or I can come here and type IN for Insight Timer, and there it is. So you can clean out the apps off your home screens and leave more space for your widgets. And that's, I think, what Apple is suggesting people do. Put your widgets on the screens, find your apps by searching for them, except for the ones you use the most, put them on your home screen. Questions about that or anything else we covered? I got time for 1 or 2 questions.
Yes. Are we talking about the photo app?
You can do that. Yep. Any app, you can take it off the home screen.
The photo, are we talking, or are you going to talk about the photo app?
Oh, no, we're not going to get into the any of the apps themselves.
Oh,
Not in this class. There we have a multiple photo classes. So there is a class about using Google Photos and using iCloud Photos. So if you're interested in photos and photo apps, it's covered in those classes.
okay, thanks.
Yeah. So so if you're an Apple person, you'll take that iCloud Photos class, and
Okay.
there's a whole hour-long class about it. There's a lot going on with that app.
Now, I was just wondering what the difference is between the camera screen, the camera roll, and the photos stream.
Oh, I can answer that. It's the same thing. So whether you touch this and get into your pictures from there, or I go into my camera and touch this, it takes me to the same place.
And which one is the camera roll and which one is the photo stream?
Well, Apple doesn't use the term camera roll anymore. And so now you're getting into the details of the app that are in that other class. It's not simple.
Never mind.
That's not a short answer. And I don't know if I know the answer because I don't teach that class.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so we're 5 minutes from the end of the class, so I do need to move on because I do want to get you out of here in time to get to your next class. So that's the end of the official class. And I do want to thank you for attending and hope that you're enjoyed the class. And if you're a social media person, please share your experiences on social media. And if you want to tag us, you can just put @GetSetUp and it will tag us and we'll like your post as well. A couple of related classes. iPhone personal safety features is a class where we go over a number of iPhone features that help you in terms of your personal safety. And then there's just a general iPhone tips and tricks where we talk about other things you can do with your phone. This is where I show you other ways to allow people to bypass your do not disturb. I have mine set up so my dad and my wife can get to me whether do not disturb is turned on or not. So we talk about that and other things in this class. So let me go to the closing slides. And after class, you'll get an email. I've mentioned it a couple of times already, I think. In that email, there's several sections. The first section is the class notes. And as part of the class notes, there'll be links to some websites that will review a lot of the same information we talked about here. There's one link that just talks about widgets and app library. If you want to get some additional information, click on those links. There's a way to recommend the class to a friend or friends. You can post it on Facebook, a link to the class, or you can just send it via email if you're more comfortable with email than Facebook. There are links to 3 other classes. Click on one of those links. It'll take you directly to the registration page for that class. Very quick and easy. Click the Give Feedback link, and it will take you to our feedback page. Again, very quick and easy. Only 2 questions. How do you rate the class itself? Click on the number of stars, 1 to 5. How do you rate the guide? Click on the stars, 1 to 5. There's a place for comments. We hope you'll add some comments. Tell us why you selected that number of stars, but the comments aren't required. They are greatly appreciated though. We hope you're enjoying being part of the Get Set Up community. And if you'd like to get more involved, there's ways to do that. If you want to start and host an interest group, maybe you want to, there's not an iPhone class group. If you want to get together with other people that have an iPhone, exchange ideas, tips and tricks, and those sorts of things, let us know. help@getsetup.io. It's that same email address I gave you at the top of class. If there's a class you'd like us to teach, or if you belong to an organization that you think would be a good partner for us, let us know. Just send us the name of that organization and hopefully a name and a phone number. We'll contact them. And as we mentioned at the top of the class, you can request a recording. If you don't get the email, send an email to help@getsetup.io. Say, I never got the email for the iPhone Basics class. They will contact you, help figure out what happened, and get you a copy of that email. And then the last link in the email is View Schedule. That will take you to our webpage where you can book another class. We're continuously making changes to the website, and one change that's still incoming that people keeps asking about is a way to see the classes you've already taken. That is still in the works, but it is coming. But a couple of things we have added in the last couple of weeks, in case you haven't found those, is if you click the View My Complete Schedule, it'll show you everything that you're scheduled for. So here's all the classes that you're signed up for. If something comes up and you know you're not going to be able to attend one of the classes, you can just click here and cancel the class and submit a reason why. And that will free up that seat for someone else. If you know what class you're looking for, I think the easiest way to find it is just to search by name. So if you're looking for more iPhone classes, you can just type iPhone. Here's the class you just took. Here's tips and tricks for taking great photos with your iPhone. iPhone tips and tricks is one that I mentioned. Lots of other iPhone related classes. Here's the iCloud Photos Basics that goes into, we'll click on that one. How to take pictures with your iPhone and store them in your iCloud, the app on the phone. And so that class is being taught April 27th at 11:30 Eastern Time. Scott teaches that class. One one feature that people have been asking for a long time, we finally have now, is that if you're interested in a particular guide and you want to find more of their classes, you can put the guide's name and hit enter. In this case, I put my own name, but these are the classes I'm going to be teaching for the next couple of weeks. So you can scroll through and pick a class right out of here. If you want to book the class, click and book the class from here. Okay, so we are at the end of the hour. I do want to thank you for attending. Hope you enjoyed the class and
Thank you.
learned some things about your
Thank you.
iPhone.
Thank you very much.
Great.
Hope
Thanks
to
a
see you
lot.
in another
you.
class
Thank
real
you.
soon. Come back.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wade.
Thanks.
Thank you,
Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you.